But
Wow.
another person I know who knows a lot about it is our next guest.
And she's
And
amazing.
she is amazing. She's been in the industry for a long time, has her own company, and still has a family and still gets everything done. And she still has been behind the scenes working and supporting major artists, including Brian Culberson and a lot of other people. So she really understands the back end of the industry a lot, and I really am excited to talk to her. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Making It. My name is Kenan Cooley, and I am with the awesome
Alvin Chia.
Alvin the Chief.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here, Kenan. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. Your coast is heading into fall. Are your seasons changing yet? Are your leaves browning and redding?
They are, but
Nice.
what's more important is, what's really changing? The industry.
It is changing. Nicely segued. It is changing.
The entertainment industry is really changing. And one of the things I noticed about the industry that is changing the most is how we view our content.
Yeah.
So a lot of things now are not on cable anymore. Like YouTube TV has really taken over cable. And it's amazing to watch that you can get almost anything you want, how you want it, when you want it. And we are really at the point where we are in charge and in control of how we see our content.
Right. My son, I have a 10-year-old son who watches YouTube TV faithfully. He never watches, scripted television or program. Every once in a while he'll do his Disney Channel shows, but he can watch YouTube TV all day of the most microscopic little niche programming, and he's way into it. He just goes down the rabbit hole, and it's the new generation. That's what they do. Yeah,
but okay, so there's a difference between YouTube and YouTube TV now. YouTube TV, right? That's the subscription base, but they have the live options like sports.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
news.
That.
Yeah. And then they also have the other channels, like all of the CBS and whatever. They're all on YouTube.
Wow.
TV. Right. So, but you can choose what you want to watch and how you watch it. But you're pretty much paying the same price, but you don't have to worry about. You still have to pay, I guess, like internet or something. Yeah. But just now they'll have the ability to let the viewer choose how they want to ingest content.
Right. Right. Everybody wants to be the portal. Everything comes through this, Yeah. Because whoever controls the advertising dollars. It's all about the advertising
we as viewers control the advertising. But the viewers control the advertising dollars. But it's the same in the entertainment industry, because now there's more options and more availability for people to get noticed.
Very much so.
You can be on YouTube TV just like everybody else almost, or you can be on a lot of different, you can be on Roku, you can be on Amazon. There's so many options that people have. People now can own their own stations. So it's really a different industry. But who
As
knows
I'm
about that?
speaking to Oasis TV herself.
Yes. And I've watched it change. It's amazing. Wow. But another person I know who knows a lot about it is our next guest.
And she's amazing.
She is amazing. She's been in the industry for a long time, has her own company, and still has a family and still gets everything done. And she still has been behind the scenes working and supporting major artists, including Brian Culberson and a lot of other people. So she really understands the back end of the industry a lot, and I really am excited to talk to her.
And she is?
Her name is Stacia Dulan Wright.
Hey, Stacia D. Wright.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hello, Miss. How are you?
Hey.
So, Stacia, I already did a little pre-bragging about you.
Aw, I need that. I need something good.
I didn't realize you guys had known each other since.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Since
probably since I moved to the Maryland area.
Oh man.
Yes, and I've been just right after, because I've been in the Maryland area, DMV, for 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't think it's been that long, but it's been pretty long.
At least 15, probably about 15.
At least. Yeah.
In this industry, that's forever.
In this industry, that is forever.
Yeah.
She and I did a lot of same things behind the scenes. So, she does some fun behind, because actually I had her host one of my shows before too.
Yes.
So
I remember that.
Stacia's
Yes.
great.
She was
She's
all over the
amazing.
place.
Exactly. So she has, the talent above, behind, and in front of the camera.
Mhm.
And so, Stacia, without further ado, I would like for you to share what you do.
Well, that might be a semi-loaded question.
We got time. Take your time.
We got time. How much time do we have? No.
20 seconds.
Yeah, no, 20 seconds because we got to edit this. It's been my pleasure to work in my passion for many, many years. My degree, and to work in my degree, which is almost unheard of these days.
Yeah.
Which background is communications with the emphasis in radio and television broadcasting. But that parlayed into working in radio first. It started off in college at Alvin's alma mater as well, Oakwood, now University, but we graduated from Oakwood College.
I'm the only one that didn't go.
Yeah, come on, you can come back.
Get an honorary. Can you come on back?
Get an honorary degree.
Online degree.
Right.
From there, went into a little bit of radio, then actually produced a film festival for 10 years called the Sunscreen Film Festival.
That's right. I remember that.
Yes. Moved around and then settled in Simi Valley, California. And then from there, actually launched my own company called Be Real Media Management. So have done artist management, which is kind of where Ken and you and I worked with the groups I used to manage. And then that parlayed into event management. So now I am owner of Be Real Media Management, or Be Real LLC, and I've had several different clients, and also one is Brian Culbertson. I've worked with several members of a group called Take Six.
Those guys.
Those guys,
some random guys. Had the privilege to work with Joey Kibble and work with him as he did his launched his speaking career at the beginning, and work with the UNCF, the United Negro College Fund Gala, for several years with Oakwood University. So it's been a great journey thus far in this industry of career. And it's been my privilege to be able to work with some amazing
You have so many hats. And I'm just, as you were talking about it, I was like, that's right. You just kind of always are in charge and up front. I just forget that you're professional.
Behind the scenes and
well, do you prefer that? Do you prefer behind the scenes, or do you prefer the upfront stuff?
I like the balance of the two, because as you know, there's something about having some animosity. Yes. Because at first, when I began my career of what I wanted to be, I was inspired by BET's shows, and Oprah Winfrey, and I was like, that's who I'm gonna be, the next Oprah. Right. And I was like, well, Oprah's already there, so let me be the best that I can be. And in that vein, I said, I also realized, as you well know, that while there is money in the front end of things, being up front, if you actually have more credits on the back end, that actually can help you more financially. True. It's good to do both, really, if you have the ability.
The anonymity equals sometimes the paycheck. The movers and shakers. I kind of grip that too. I want to be on the credits, but you don't got to know my face.
Right. Well, but to your point too, also, I think you get the ability to have more gigs on the back end sometimes. Yes. Because when the front end, you got to always impress somebody that they should hire you as a singer, as a talent. As a talent, right? But to be in the back end, I guess hiring the talent, because nothing runs without the back end.
With the back end people.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the work gets done. And it's about building those relationships, because you're going to need the same people you see going up, or the same people you're going to need going down, or on another project that you're working on. Very true. And because my phrase that I have adopted as my own is, relationships are the currency of industry.
Nice. Very nice.
And
write that down. That's true.
That's very true.
People will work with you if they like you, even if you're still learning and you're not that great at it. But they like you. In you, they will invest in you, and then they want to work with you, and then you have those relationships for years to come.
I've said that almost word for word for my side of the industry, which is being doing music and doing things for different projects. You're in the foxhole a lot of times with these projects. You're working 9, 10, 11, 12 hours with the same people. If you don't like them, it's going to be a problem.
Nightmare.
Yeah, you forgive somebody who doesn't know something that has a great attitude versus this know-it-all jerk that you're like, oh my goodness, can you go stand over there?
Right, in the corner.
Totally
in
get
the
it.
corner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it sounds funny, but I think that vibe actually shows up in projects. I think
Absolutely.
when there's a lot of tension behind the scenes and a lot of drama, I mean, the project might go off and it might be, sealed and dealed, but I don't think it ever goes as well as when people are vibing well. I just think there's a lot to be said for having people vibe well together.
No, you're right. And it not only reflects in the project, but it reflects in the future projects and potential to be a part of projects that one would not even include, because they're like, well, who's on the project?
Right.
I'm not going if so-and-so's there.
Right. Such and such is on it. No,
I ain't doing that. I see you when I see you. Wow.
Yeah. So Stacia, I mean, you've done film, right? Television and video. What have you, we were talking about the differences and how things have changed in terms of like, the digital age has really kind of made things different. How would you describe it?
Well, there's the digital age and then there's the post-COVID age, which is
true.
Its own thing.
That is true.
That it's literally its own thing because, 25 years ago or so when I first started, it was like it was the media aspect was like news, like they pushed everybody into doing news, and I was like, I don't want to do East Coast. I was like, I don't. What if I don't want to do news? Like, you're attractive, you should do news, and I'm like, I don't
want to talk about people dying all day.
Right.
And so it shifted from being, media that was like packages and you had to know how to put together media packages in the field and catching stories to then, this age of social media. So then you needed to learn how to package things that was going to keep the interest of an audience, as we know, for short spurts of time, because consumers will only watch you for like 3 minutes, and if that. So you need to have things, and then you had to learn how to do your own marketing and all that kind of stuff. So in the age of social media, my education was learning through the process. Like, from the time that anything came out, I was like, well, let me jump on it just so I can know what it is. And create packages that are going to be working, because if I'm working with a client and they don't have a Facebook page or now an Instagram account, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they're not going to go to your websites anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll find you on your social media page before they find you on your website. Your website just is like your poster.
Yeah.
True.
That's all it is. It
is.
Or if you're like Take 6 and people need to see your dates where you're performing, they'll go there. But for everything else, they're like, put your link in your Instagram account, in your whatever. But now post-COVID, how that's affected the industry, as we all know, I mean, the hospitality, music, events industry was hit the absolute hardest.
Yes.
Absolutely. Decimated.
So for a good 2 years, you had to figure out a pivot, what your side hustle was going to be. And you had to learn how to do virtual events and be able to
that's the biggest one.
Events to clients, which is where I ended up, having to pivot in that aspect and start learning what other virtual. I had a client, Washington Adventist University, which is I would produce their graduation. Well, it was right at the beginning of COVID. It was March. We had to produce a graduation that was going to happen in April, May for that class of 2020, and figuring out how we were going to do this. So I had to do all sorts of research and pitch it. And then you're dealing with clients where you're like, well, how do you do a gala? Do you link up with these food delivery companies? And you had to really start thinking outside the box. Like, these people are donors. Let's have all their food delivered to their house, because they can't gather anymore. So then there were actual corporate accounts that were set up with people with these food delivery companies that I had to discover. So it's everything has taken a shift and a pivot. If you are doing your work and your research, you have to stay ahead of the game as it is literally changing before your eyes. So that's kind of you're a forever student of the process.
Oh, that's funny that you say. I was going to ask you, looking at your body of knowledge now. All right, you've been in this business yay amount of years. How much percentage do you think did you get from your college and university education versus what you know now?
Yeah.
Is it?
This is a rhetorical question.
We all know the answer, but go ahead, say it here.
I don't need school.
Yeah, school. Yes, this is not a promotion to say don't get your education, folks. But
education and
life experience is really, and especially in this industry, unless you're going into a field that is like academe based, where you need your PhD or you're going to be a college professor or something like that, then it's all about the letters behind you. But in this type of industry, it's all about your experience.
School is always in session.
School is always in session. It just is. And if you stop learning, then you're going to be falling by the wayside.
I do think you need education as a base, though. Like, because I guess either that or be in a position where you can be immersed around people who will open up and tell you things. So like for me, I was not in that position. So I had to kind of get an extra education. I found it valuable to get my master's, even though I've been in the industry for years, just so because I got tired of asking people questions who wouldn't answer it. So when I get my master's, you have to answer it now because I'm paying you. So therefore, you have to answer questions because sometimes people are tight-lipped in the industry. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to share stuff because you might, I guess, overtake them or something. But I think the education does help, but there's nothing to be said for having experience because education is always kind of one step behind, especially nowadays.
Sure.
And experience is kind of like you said, you have to be flexible. You have to be always on the top of the next thing because it's changing like this.
Yeah.
Well,
every 10
and
seconds.
as you all know, even the professional industries like if you're really with your legal department or the attorneys, many of the laws haven't even caught up to the technology.
Absolutely.
True.
So you're writing contracts or you're reviewing contracts and you're having to put in clauses that say, and my images or my client's images can't be used in social media because social media wasn't even existing when the law was created.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And when new media comes available, we want a percentage of this activity, though we don't know what that new media will be.
Right. So you have to use that broad language of and whatever new media.
Right. Yeah, whatever happens in perpetuity, right? Forever as long as it changes.
And when you come up, we coming up.
Right. You get money, we get
money.
That's very true.
But that's interesting to say too, because that shows you that how much is important it is to have people behind the scenes knowing how things happen, knowing how things changing, know how quickly. I mean, just take for instance, like myself and Stacia, and then you, Alvin, being the talent. You can be the talent in the front. And if we don't have our job together, you lose money.
Oh, absolutely.
If your agents and whatever your managers don't do what they need to do behind the scenes, you lose money. I mean, we might all lose money, but you lose money as a talent, the one who's making it all happen.
Yeah.
Because everything happened behind.
Another thing too, as talent is if you tie yourselves into janky productions, your Q rating, your talent, your branding. You got to be careful who you tie yourself to because you only have one image.
That is so true. And in today's digital age, that changes fast. You put yourself to tie yourself to the wrong person, it's going to be everywhere quickly.
Credibility is everything.
Absolutely.
It is.
And I think that speaks to the longevity of both of you all as well, because sure, you can make it shucking and jiving for a bit, but at the end of the day, people who know.
Yes.
Yeah. And they will
very true.
Talking behind the scenes, and they're like, "Oh, you're working with them. What's up with that?"
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
But Stacia, have you ever used that thought process that I'm not working with this client because of that branding?
I have fired clients before.
Yeah.
I had to get to a point where when you're first hungry and you're getting started, and I was just starting a business, it was just about first of all, can I get a client on my own? Because a lot of my clients were referrals. I didn't do marketing campaigns because, you know, I basically, my business model was I would get the client and then I build my team based upon what that client's needs were.
Right.
So I had a plethora of options because I'd been around long enough that I had all these relationships, and I go, hey, I need you for this project. Bring in my contractors. We'd all make it happen. The problem was, after a while, you have to learn not to discount yourself. Yeah.
True.
Family, people, like I love them.
That is probably the most profound things you've said today.
Yeah.
You have to know who you are. Everybody
Yes.
will try to define you for their
Yes.
discounts.
Right.
Yep.
And that was the thing. It was like I set a deadline for, I was like, I love you. And I had them a client for 2 years already.
Yeah.
But they were not paying my bill on time.
Yeah.
I was like, I need my contract back by this date, X date, or you will be in breach of contract.
Right.
And I guess they thought I was playing.
They didn't know. They didn't get the memo.
And they were like, the check's in the mail. I'm not lying. The check is in the mail.
Wow.
They called me because I said, hi, I'm just sending this email to let you know you're in breach of contract. It is January 1st. I had needed to have the check by December 31st, and you did not reach that.
Right.
I already started planning a program for them. They were like, sorry, called me. Literally, I have the check in my hand right here. And I said, well, you enjoy that. Please use that for the next producer that you're going to bring in. I lost your deposit though. And hopefully we can work together again next year, but you're in breach of contract. And
I heard that. Yeah. Those are the big growing up. Those are the growing up moments.
It was because that was a nice check that they would send. But I was like, I'm not going to be a slave to money.
Right. And your peace of mind is not worth it. You know, it is not worth it.
You know what? And then this applies to anything in life, but it applies to this too. You teach people how to treat you.
You're right.
If you took that check, the next time they're going to have more excuses. And the excuses are going to get bigger. And so you're just going to develop this mountain of excuses that you're never going to get out of. Ever.
Very true.
I've been there, like you said. I've been there and had to do the same thing. Like, you know what? I'm kind of tired. So I'm good. You know, because at the end of the day, time is money.
Just the way you can fire me, I can fire you because I have standards on which my business and the way my business ethics and the way my business practices will be run.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're going to disrespect the way that I run my business, well, then you're going to disrespect me, and I can't bring mess. Like, I'm not going to deal with that.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, that's your reputation that they're messing up.
Exactly.
Very much so.
You spend all this time. I've had these clients where you spend all this time, you do all this work, and then it gets put out, and then people are like, well, who did that? And then you have to explain it. But what are you going to say? Oh, put a little clause at the end of the film saying, well, what had happened was, I mean, no. You got to live with the fact your name's on the end of it, and it's crap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just definitely.
No, we have all, unfortunately been there. I mean, there was instances where when I was managing clients, the people hadn't sent the deposit. He was supposed to be in Africa, getting on his plane. His flight was to leave. They had bought his flight, had his hotel all ready to go in Africa, and they had not sent the deposit.
Wow.
Out of order.
Out of order. And
wow.
Mad at me. There was some church people too, which
sometimes we'll leave that alone, but sometimes that's the worst. But anyway, yes.
Trying to bless me out in the name of Jesus. And I was like, well, the Jesus I know didn't cheat.
All right, here's a different thing. I've known you your entire life. Your entire life. We've known each other our entire life. And you're such a sweet, amazing person, always. How do you, I can't see you going there. So, because you, like me, seem like a person who likes to be liked. You like to have friends. You like to be you like to be likable. What makes you turn that corner? What do you have to say to yourself to go there? So you are your own best friend.
Right. Yeah. It took a shift because you're like, exactly. We're very personality wise. You like people to like you.
Right.
But I think it took a level of maturity and the fact that I knew that I had to live with myself after the fact, and I didn't want to let the person who's depending on me down. It was more important for me to make sure my client knew I had their back, and for me to take the heat from. I was like, I'll take the heat,
Right.
because I'm not going to let you get jacked.
Right. That's good. That's good.
That was worth it to me, because and the client person was not happy with me, obviously, but they sent that money before you got on the plane. They wired that joint directly to me.
Oh man.
Well, it's funny you said that, Alvin, because even though I think the world of Stacia, she is the sweetest thing, but I know the girl doesn't play. And, she has a line that says, "Okay, I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up. All right, that's the line. I'm not backing up anymore because I've already done all I can do."
It's a respect thing.
It is.
Like, I respect me, and I expect you to respect me. And if and once you have decided that what I have said isn't relevant to you anymore for some reason, you started down the line of disrespecting me.
Right.
And I've worked hard for you to have the right to disrespect me.
Now, have you found that you have had any more or less respect because being a woman, being African American, being in the industry itself? I mean, have you found that that's been more of a struggle, less of a struggle? How have you been that happen?
The thing is, back to Vinny's point, knowing your worth and your value, because I know I have seen where it's worked, and both as a benefit and as not a benefit.
Okay.
When a female walks in a room and it's filled with males, men change.
That's true. I've been in the room with men, and when a female walks in, there's a different estrogen in the room. And
estrogen,
it's different.
And it doesn't even have to be like, "Ooh, I want to get with you." I mean, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It's just different. Men and women carry a different aura.
Yeah.
And as a woman, and for me, benefit or not, thank you, Jesus, thank you, parents, I look younger usually than what I actually am. So they'll come in and they'll be like, "Oh, is she the PA or
the intern?"
Right.
But I'm coming in with the clipboard because I'm the producer of the event. And and then I'm like, "Hey, okay, guys, we're gonna have a quick, we need to have a quick pull together. And then we're like, "Oh, she's not the assistant."
Right.
It's because of how I'm carrying myself that they're going to respect.
Yeah.
But if I feel like somebody is pushing that line for me, I always make sure I have somebody on my team who's a male who can address something if I feel. But for the most part, I've been very fortunate that people have respected my role of when I've come in, and that somebody has spoke on my behalf. I don't toot my own horn. I just let other people do it for me. So by the time I walk in the room, your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And I ain't gonna lie, I will use whatever I need to get the job get done. They'll be like, "Well, she's nice and pretty and can smile." And I'll be like, I will throw all the smile and pretty to get my job done.
Right.
You, and they're like, "They're really difficult to work with." And I'm like, let me talk to them.
I've got a question for you. So you have your fingers in a lot of different pots, from artist management and I guess PR a little bit?
A little, because you can't get away from it.
Yeah, it's all about imaging.
Part of it.
It's all about imaging. Yeah, but I will hire somebody else to be like, "Hey, I want you to handle the whole."
Right.
But I'll be like, "Hey, yes, that's good. No, that's not." Yeah, so it all comes together.
So if I had $1 million to put down on the industry that you see that's going to go, that's got the most potential, that's got the most, where would you send your kid to have an amazing career if they said, "Mommy, I want to be just like you"? Which one of your hats would they wear?
Probably the producer hat. Because talent is fleeting, especially for females, because you guys can get a pass until you're 80 years old.
Yeah.
Females, we are on a time limit of pretty.
Wow.
and it's only so long that you can be pretty for camera as far as they're concerned. We will be outdated unless you're just great, unless you got some super routine that's gonna fix that. But really, they will keep men forever, and they will write off a woman after they quote unquote after 40. But obviously, I don't believe that. That you're, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? You can't do a career switch after 40. Yes, you can.
Right.
But for me, the producer hat, I believe, has given me more flexibility into more spaces than when I got boxed in as just a talent. And I can always fall back as being a talent.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that it has helped me be a better talent because I know production. And so I'm able to use the language of the industry when I'm on camera, and I'm like, hey, okay, I'm going to be a spokesperson for this whatever product or something like that. Usually is a corporate gig of some sort. And then they'll be like, okay, roll camera, speeding, quiet on the set, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll be like, okay, I see we need to do a wide shot, then a medium shot, then a close shot. I know already I'm going to be shooting this for 5 hours, and I'm going to be saying the same thing, and I'm going to be really reading this teleprompter. But then they'll go, hey, and they'll talk behind the scenes. We're going to do this in post. I know what that means. I know what it means. And I'm going to work this out in post. Or I go, hey, do you need me to put my heels back on? I know actually my hair was like this when I first taped it.
Right.
It didn't come back down like this. I'm thinking as the I know what you're going to have to work with when you're on the editing side.
Right.
Yeah.
Them, and they're like, oh, good. You already know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess the reverse would be true too. Being a producer, you're more empathetic with the talent.
Yes, exactly. And you know how to get them to where they're like, hey, you're running out of steam. You need to take a break. You need to go for a walk. You need some fresh air.
Yeah.
And come back fresh because I hear your tone and your voice. And that's where radio, and Vinny, from background of radio, voiceover work, all of that. One gig I got in particular wasn't even my look. It was because of my voice. Come to find out, the client, I was hired, but the client who was in the room watching the whole production, he wrote a book, and he trains like most of the voices for radio out here in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
The top radio stations out here, Kenan, is WTOP, which is like the top news station out here. And he literally trains all those voices who are on the radio. And he came to me specifically, and he was like, look, let me give you some tips, like talk like, and as a female, why females with a lower register voice can get better voiceover work than a female with a higher. It's the science.
So much. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. So, I guess my question before we go, Stacia, would be, based on your industry experience, in and out and front and behind, what would you say, what would be your advice to people I know things always change, so it's a kind of temporal advice, but go as you see things in the next, say, 5 years or less, what would you see, I guess, people being able to succeed, and how would you guys suggest that they succeed?
If they're new to the industry, just coming in?
Yeah, kind of new, somewhat haven't had the experience that you have.
I would, it's truly about being humble in the process of learning.
Yeah.
People will allow you more grace and opportunity when they see that you actually want to learn, and then and they don't feel like you're a threat to them, like you have some underlying, because that's unfortunately, as we know, people don't trust people in this industry because they've been burned. But if you've shown yourself to be a trustworthy student and actually anxious about learning and truly learning it, and you do a lot of stuff for free, you end up on sets that you're just like, I'm gonna just volunteer. When I did my internship at The Bold and the Beautiful, I wasn't getting no paycheck but I learned. I went and I interviewed at that time all of the people behind the scenes, the people who build the set, the producers of the show. That gave me insights as I got into my own work to go, oh, okay, I like this part, I don't like this part, and I can help people now. And so my advice would be to anybody, be a student of the process, and but stay humble. Don't come into it thinking that you're going to come and take somebody else's job or take over and be conniving, because it's going to come back and get you.
Mm-hmm.
People will remember not necessarily what you said, but what you did and how you made them feel.
That's true. Is that a Maya Angelou?
It's a quote. It's a yes, Maya Angelou.
It's a revamp of Maya.
Yes, yeah. She's like, people won't.
No, but I love
Mama
that.
Maya, that's great.
I love that.
People won't remember what you said, but they'll remember
Yep.
How you made them feel. Absolutely.
Yep. Well, you made us feel wonderful today, lady. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your talent of many years and being able to be associated with it. So thank you for today. And I am hopeful and prayerful for your next 25 to 30 years of makeup.
Absolutely.